Welcome to my 1964 Chevy Corvair. As you can see, I don't have a garage, I don't have a roof. I do all the work on my car in my driveway, which a lot of people I know do. I watch a lot of videos of car shows, love them, but they have lifts and they have multiple jacks and they have power tools and they have air compressor tools. Like a lot of us, we don't have, can't afford. We have to work on with what we got. So my 1964 Chevy Corvair, I keep in my driveway. It's in pretty good shape. I bought it pre-COVID, and I've been doing a lot of work on it here and there where I can. This rust is the worst rust in the whole car. The interior had some issues that I've worked on, and we're working on mechanical things. Here she is. For those of you who don't know about Corvairs, the engine is not in the front, it's in the back. The front, it's called a front trunk. So this is where I keep tools, parts, extra stuff. The interior of the car is not in great shape. I have these cheesy seat covers. You can see the driver's seat, the passenger seat's worse. Dashboard needs some work to get the piece back down again. Generally it's in good shape. There's no rust on the floors. The whole back I had done a few years back, completely sill padded. I could put a link to a Facebook group where I posted a lot of those pictures. Again, this is a future project, figuring out a way to do that, hopefully without removing the back glass, but if I have to, I have to. It's my engine. It's 164 cubic inch, 110 horsepower, air-cooled flat 6. One of the projects I worked on recently was I replaced the fan bearing, which meant I had to remove everything you see here. It was down to the engine block itself. I could see the crankshaft, which is not something you generally want to see. What this video is going to be about is replacing this, the harmonic balancer. This engine came with, for some reason, a steel pulley. The 1964 Monza badge, that came with the 110 engines were supposed to come with a harmonic balancer, but this for some reason had a steel pulley, which I will show you later on, I guess. You'll see it later in the video. I do show it later. So there's a couple projects I'll be doing. This video is about the harmonic balancer, specifically replacing it on a 1964 without dropping the engine. That's the important thing. 64 is the only EM early model, which can be determined by this ridge along the side. 65 and later look like baby Camaros to me. They're much smoother. I prefer this style, not just because I own one, because it's a little more unique, I think. Before 64, 60, 61, 62, 63, you had to lower the motor to get the harmonic balancer. 64, they changed the rear engine mount so you could do it with a special tool, which you will see later. I had changed the balancer once before when I was doing the fan bearing, and I had the motor lowered anyway, so I replaced it at that point, but I used a used one, which was supposed to be in good shape. It was not. So when I had to replace it again, I decided to do a video to show you and to find out for myself if it can be done. It can be. That's it for now. I hope you enjoy it. So I got a little light so we can see what's going on. So there's the existing balancer, which I had bought used and is not good. So in another video, if this goes well, I'll be replacing the fuel pump with an electric, but leaving the stock body there to keep the stock look. So first thing I'm going to do for the harmonic balancer is pull the fuel filter. I'm going to wrap it in a plastic bag and pull it out. So if you take the plastic bag and you put it around the filter. I mean, this works if you're just changing the oil too, not just for this particular case, but if you put the bag around the filter, you can pull the filter off, drop it into the bag, stick some rags under for anything that drips from the housing, and then the filter's out of the way. Then, in theory, this is the special tool. You can get it from Clark's, you can get it from a couple different places, and it'll bolt right on there. Once I pull that harmonic balancer bolt off, this will fit right on there, and in theory there'll be enough room for this to pop off before this piece. This is unique to 1964. Before that, you had to drop the engine, which is a process in itself. You have to remove all the shroud brackets so that you can lower it without screwing them up. You have to disconnect the fuel lines, you have to disconnect the throttle, you have to take all of this apart back here so that you can take the bolt off the bottom of the engine mount so that you can then stick a jack under there. I'm going to clean that while I'm in here. Alright, next is take this off so I can get the belt off. Take off the air cleaner so I can get the belt off. I shouldn't have to remove the crossover piece, just the filter housing, so I can get this off. Alright, moving on. Wrench time. 9/16. Loosen this, which loosens the pulley, which allows me, theory, a lot of theories going on here, keep that in mind. Get this loosened enough. Oh, I gotta loosen the other one too. There's two of them, aren't there? Yeah, I gotta loosen that one in there too. Loosen them, then I can loosen the pulley, and then I can pull the belt off. You see here, I have the bag set up for the filter. I'll get back to the pulley. Just give me a minute. This is a 1/2 inch. Take the bolt out. Filter goes right into the bag. See? So I'm going to let that sit, let it drip a little. Once it's done dripping, then I'll pull it out of there. Started cleaning that. I'll be painting that too. So let me get this loosened and get it the rest of the way off. Quick little side note, 9/16 is the size to get the pulley loosened to move it out of the way. Hold on, you're going to see my face. Yeah, that's better. So 9/16 is out, 1/2 inch was out, that's off, it's in a bag. Now we have an issue. So I need to get the bolt off for the end of the balancer. So let's take my torque wrench, which I'm going to need to put it back on. 3/4 inch is the bolt, but the bracket's in the way. So although I don't have to lower the engine, I may have to block it. No, I'm going to have to lower it. Because to get that piece off, this, which is the engine mount that goes to the rubber engine mount to the body. I need to remove this, and to do this I have to lower it. I wonder if I can take everything off, take these bolts out, take this bolt out, prop the engine up, and drop this without dropping the engine. But just for shits and giggles, I'm going to take a 3/4 inch wrench and see if this will loosen at all. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to block the engine from spinning. The engine spins right away. So, I've heard a couple of different theories on this. Jam something in one of the holes. And that'll get stuck in the engine and allow me to spin it. See, this is what the new one looks like. So if I jam something in one of these holes against the engine block, it'll allow me to spin the bolt without spinning the engine over. So, I mean, I may be able to get that off without dropping the engine or moving that mount, but I legit don't know how I'm going to get it back on. Because to get it back on, you need to put the balancer back on the end of the crankshaft and then use the bolt to pull it back in. And if I do that, it doesn't fit unless I can find a thinner ratchet. All right, let's see if I can loosen that. Next step. Moving forward with disassembly, letting reassembly wait until I get to that bridge. I can use a thin ratchet on a 3/4 socket, and it fits in there really well. So in theory, again, a lot of theories, I should be able to get the bolt out, to get the puller in, to get the harmonic balancer off. And then at least that step's done. I'm going to brace the pulley somehow. Let's try to find some place where I'm not going to crack the motor or anything important. Maybe down there, if I stick something through the groove, it'll hit that bracket and it'll be strong enough to hold it. Let's give that a shot. I'll let you know. I'll be back. So it actually wasn't as bad as I thought. Maybe you can see it. See the end of the socket extension? Got it through the hole. Sorry, it's kind of upside down, but it's tight. It goes through. Interesting against that casing. It's got a bolt there, so hopefully that was strong enough. But it loosened pretty easy. I mean, I had to give it I didn't force it. I just lifted my shoulder up and came right out. So let's get the bolt out and see where we end up. Next, to see if I can get the tool on there. Yeah, it spins pretty easy with the ratchet, but it's just tight. It's going to have to, well, I can always use a open end on it.
most of the way out. This is boring, isn't it? Yeah, I know you're bored. I know. Give me a second here. It's spinning. Keep your pants on. I hope you have your pants on. Not that kind of video, but you never know. Each their own. There it is. I'm going to repaint the head. Get the washer off. Big ass washer. Don't ever lose this. Alright. Next up is the removal tool. Alright, here's where we are. So the next step, putting this on the balancer and the two bolts provided. There are two holes provided for the bolts. And then this goes in the end. I mean, it's pretty simple setup. This goes in there, you crank it down, and it pushes against the crankshaft, which pulls the balancer out. But, let's see, do it with the other hand, you might be able to see it. The end of the bolt, where are you? The end of the bolt hits the end of the crankshaft, which is bad, because first time I did one of these with a different puller, the bolt on the end of the puller went into that crankshaft, screwed up the threads, and I had to get a tap and tap it out, and I got really lucky. So this is the new one. So you see how much space there is in there. So I'm going to go find a nice big fat thick washer, you know, like maybe as thick as the one that goes on the outside, but it'll fit in the hole so that I can push against that. But I need something fat. A nice fat washer, the hole, even if I gotta like put a nickel on it at the end of it or something, a quarter, to keep this from going into the hole, to push evenly against that washer, it'll slide it off. I'm also gonna paint this, which you won't see it, and I'm gonna stop the video. So I'm gonna go get that, put it all on there, and then you can all watch me try to pull it off together. Again, get it off the first step. Getting it back on, it's another story. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, got a couple things. First, this is the original pulley, which I had replaced with the bad harmonic balancer. So what I got was, I have 1/4 inch by 1 fat washers, which, pardon me for being right up against the camera. Which will fit inside. Will fit inside to protect the crankshaft. See, it'll fit inside the hole. And then, when I put the puller on there, it will let this push against that big washer instead of the end of my crank. So, I'm going to set that up, and I bought some new tools too. I got these to try to get around the issue I have with the torque wrench not fitting. If I can get this on the thing, I got to figure out how I adjust the torque. So when I tighten it using this instead of a socket, and I had to buy a new 5/16 for this because it's this size, and obviously I know I can't get a socket on the end, so I got to use that. So I'm going to put this on there, put the washer in there, put the bolt in here, and we'll see. Alright, I gotta say I'm a little nervous. So I got the tool on there, see it? Tool, tighten these down so it's even, so this goes straight. washers in there against the crank. I hand tighten this down. See if it starts to move. And more importantly, once it gets to the end, well, there'd be room for it to come off. Well, I'm going to have to block the crank again because it's spinning. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that because I can't get a impact in there without lowering the motor. So we're still trying to go that way. Okay, 1964 Chevy Corvair, replacing the harmonic balancer without dropping the engine. I was able to get it off, and I just want to show you real quick how I did it. So I used the special tool, and importantly, you need 4 of these fat 1/4 inch by 1 inch washers. 1/4 inch by 1 inch. Because what you have to do is, as you're cranking it off, the bolt for the puller is going to bottom out, and it's not going to be off the end of the crankshaft yet. So you got to take this off. This is supposed to be seated all the way. So just show you what I did. So this has to be seated all the way. When that bolt's all the way in, it's still not off. So you have to take this piece, the puller, off, and then stack those washers inside between the puller and the end of the crankshaft, so that when you put this back on and put the bolt back in, it gives you that extra little bit of push. And what I did to be able to get it off is I had to take a large adjustable wrench and hold the puller so that the crankshaft didn't turn. So I had to use 2 hands, one holding this and then big 5/16 on the nut, on the bolt. Again, this has to be all the way in on the bolt, so when I cranked it, it pulled it all the way off. So that when it comes all the way off, when this bolt's all the way in, it'll come right off and slide right out. So now I have to grease that up, put the new one in, and then figure out how to keep the crankshaft from turning when I'm pushing it in with the new bolt that I got. Little side. Couple of quick things to note. I had replaced the bearing when I did the harmonic balancer not 50 miles ago. I used one, and it was a mistake. And when I painted this, I masked off the timing mark. See it? So that, when this spins, I can set the timing better. So I have the inside of this greased. I have the end of the crankshaft greased. Let's see if I can get the camera in place. You can see me try to do this. I don't know where the keyway is. So put this on there. Finagle it around. There. Gap's way over there. Alright, so I screwed that up. There's the gap. That's the downside of doing this in the car. Gap there. Alright, so I'll get this popped on with the keyway lined up, and I'll put the washer and bolt in and try to get her started. So I got the longer bolt in there with the shorter washer, and it bit, and it's starting to tighten. And it's pulling in. continue this process, maybe I'll grab my ratchet. Keep in mind, this has to go all the way back to here. See this gap? This has to close all the way up. And that's when I know it's where it needs to be. Then I can pull this bolt out, maybe once I get a little closer. Once I take this bolt out, the longer bolt, to get this process started, when I use the permanent bolt, I'm going to put some blue Loctite on it. And then figure out how to torque it down, and I got a plan for that. I've gone to gloves because I'm getting my fingers nicked up. So I stuck a dowel, actually a busted piece of a wooden spoon, in through one of the gaps so that it's priding up against the engine and against the motor mount. I want to use wood and not metal, just in case, you know, thinking the wood would give before the metal. So I still have the long bolt in there, and it's as tight as it'll go without. Yeah, it's tight. So now I'm going to take this bolt out, put the right bolt in, the permanent final bolt. So I might be able to get a little more, but you can see the gap. It's almost up against the engine block back there, and it's right up close to the timing. So I'm going to back the bolt out, put the permanent bolt in, put some blue Loctite on it, tighten it until I can't tighten it more, and then I'm going to see if I can finagle a torque wrench in there to do the torque. Alright, with the angle, I can get this in on the bolt. So that's the permanent bolt with blue Loctite on it. So I'm going to wrestle that in there, and then I'll turn the camera back on, and hopefully you can watch me actually torque this puppy. It is technically working, although I'm only getting one click at a time. So I'm going to keep going until I get this thing where it needs to be. Well, I'm not crazy how it felt when I did it, but it's tight when I try to tighten it, and if I try to loosen it, it rotates the engine the other way. So it looks like it's in the right spot. I'm going to call it done. I'm going to paint that little spot I mentioned before, put the belt back on, put the oil filter back on, and next video hopefully restart it and that balancer stays where it's supposed to be. It's running. The belt looks like it's a little loose. It looks not wobbly. It's running. It'll work, I guess. Alright, I want to show you one thing I did just to ease my mind. I put blue paint marks on both sides of the balancer so that after I run it for a while, if those marks don't line up, then I know that I screwed something up and the bolt's coming loose. Also, I should have painted the whole harmonic balancer because this was just a week and I already have surface rust. So I'll get to that. Somehow I'm going to have to mask everything off to do it. Maybe next time I change the oil, the filter will be out. It'll be easier. And I'm still going to paint that little piece. I promise you I'll paint it right there. I'll paint it. There's 1,000 videos of painting things, so I'm not going to bother. Just show you once again, this was what was on the engine. It's just a pulley. And even though the numbers say it's a 110, and the head number, which is a bitch to get to because it's behind all this, says it's 110 horsepower. For some reason it came with that pulley, or it was changed at some point in its life, but it should have had a harmonic balancer. This is the balancer that I got used, and it's crap. Sucked. That's the part number from Clark's if you need a harmonic balancer. So that's that. I just want to do a couple of thanks. Derek from Vice Grip Garage
You're an inspiration. Got to keep the feet moving to get your project done, or your project's not going to get done. Sarah N. Tuned does some phenomenal resto mod work, and the attention to detail really makes me want to clean every part I take off the engine and or the anything. The suspension. Sarah N. Tuned, Vice Grip Garage. Sealed Beam Rally Tyler has a 64, and he does some very detailed videos if you want to see work on an early model Corvair. I strongly suggest Sealed Beam Rally. Tyler does great stuff. Ben Corvair, that kid is great. He's just like me. Doesn't have a garage, doesn't have fancy tools. He's doing stuff in the driveway. He does a lot of stuff. He drops engines. I mean, the kid's phenomenal. And once again, a shout out to the Torque Test channel. Watch that video. It's what I should have done before I did this, to show you how to properly torque it with an angle wrench, because you can't get a torque wrench in there with the motor mount. Thanks. I hope somebody learned something from watching this, and I hope my balancer stays on this time.